Ladies and gentlemen, we have another new video for you guys, as we have a build that when I was asking around in the Discord that I'm in, I was asking like, hey, what kind of builds or who do you want to try? Who do you want me to see try and remake? And this was one of them. We got a DeMar DeRozan build for you guys coming up. So I think it's a pretty interesting build, I will say. But the way that I got to a lot of these stats is practically taking a look at his 2016 version, his rookie version from the 2010 rosters, and also the current day roster. So I took all three of those and written down all of the stats, all the attributes, and tried to come up with, stats that make sense while also keeping it, realistic to the builder. And this is obviously what we came up with. Obviously, we have his little body settings here, 6'6", 220, 6'9". And this is what we came up with. I thought it was pretty cool to have a similar layout like this. Now, obviously, DeMar wasn't the best defender, so we didn't give him really that much defense, but we did give him the ability to at least defend the perimeter a little bit, be able to be in his passing lanes, and grab some rebounds when necessary. But talking about the bread and butter of everything else, let's go through this, stat for stat. Let's talk about it. We have a 79 close shot. It's pretty good. I mean, the 79 close shot is just there because of the post control and everything else being upgraded. So there's no real particular reason why close shot is this high, other than just all the other stats being upgraded as well in the process. We do have a 90 driving layup, though, which is really, really good. 90 driving layup is like, as high as you can get it before it starts to make your build just jump off a cliff in terms of your remaining overall potential. And then we also have a 90 driving dunk, the same situation here, but I felt like a 90 was just a very, very good median to have, because for everybody that doesn't know, you need to have like a 96 plus in order to start having the elite contact dunks. And then you need an 89 in order to get the pro contact dunks off 1 foot, those animations in particular. And you need a 78 vertical for that. But I went ahead and just went with the 80 vertical, and I will give more insight on that later. But we went with the 80 vertical alongside with the 90 driving dunk just to have it a little bit more even, just so we can utilize, more animations as well. Because, obviously, like a lot of these animations are kind of crazy. We do not get like the Kobe animations or like the dunk packages or anything like that. But I definitely do believe personally that we are able to get some really, really good animations here. And then the only difference is that DeMar DeRozan only requires like a 73 driving dunk in order to get his dunk packages, which is kind of weird to me. But for the most part, we do have like a really, really good vertical that can help us on dunks and layups, and then having like the 90 driving dunk as well is pretty good. As you can see, it doesn't really give us anything in terms of like the badges or anything, but it definitely does help us get a little bit of a boost there. In general, we have a 55 standing dunk, if I can even speak. We have a 55 standing dunk, and that's just because he doesn't really have a standing dunk that much. 55 is what he has on his 2016 and current version, so we just went with a 55 here alongside everything else, just to make it more evened out. And also, it's like 55 just kind of feels like that great like little range, like especially if you're going to be lower than that. It's like 40s is really good, like 40, 45, 50, 55, like those numbers just feel honestly the best, because it's just more rounded out, more evened out. Then we have an 84 post control, and the reason why we have a super high post control on DeMar here is just because, well, on his, on his like older versions, the 2016 and the 2024 versions of him, he's got like a 74 in 2016, and then his current version has like an 87. And I know his rookie version only has like a 60 something post control. So it's just one of those situations where we had points left over from everything else that I was practically utilizing, and I was utilizing like a lot of these stats as like medians, so trying to find like a great middle ground for all of these stats here from all three versions. So I just felt like the 84 is really good. That gives us Hall of Fame post fade phenom when we have the 93 mid range as well, which I felt like was pretty dang good there. So I just felt like it would have been cool just to have this small forward that can obviously play the shooting guard as well, because obviously DeMar can play the shooting guard, and just be able to post up, have that post fade available with the Hall of Fame post fade phenom, and just be able to have just that insane ability just to create in the mid-range no matter what, even if you are posting up. Speaking of being able to create in the mid-range, the 93 mid-range, though, his 2016 and current versions have a 93 mid-range. His rookie version obviously doesn't have as many of the stats that are, as upgraded, obviously. So we just went with the 93. That was similar to his 2016 and current versions. And the having the set shot specialist on Hall of Fame as well is pretty good, because that helps us be able to knock down the 3-pointers as well. So that's definitely a little bit of a bonus there for all that. All right, sorry about that weird cut there. My dog was barking. I had to go check on him and see what was going on. But but just having this mid-range just encompasses one of his greatest strengths. Now, when I think of just crazy mid-range or inside the arc shot creators being able to get to the rim at will, be able to finish, with finesse, be able to shoot the mid-range as well, I think of DeMar DeRozan. Somebody that's not going to be 100% effective, or necessarily nobody's 100% effective, but somebody that's not going to be as effective as others from beyond the arc, but somebody that that you can rely on and trust to, create for themselves and be shifty inside of the arc in the mid-range and at the rim. So having the 93 mid-range is just really, really good here for that all around. We talked about the post-fade phenom as well. The shifty shooter badge also being really, really good here on gold. And just having that set shot specialist, like I said, will help with those beyond the arc shots from the catch and shoot, especially from the corner, since we only have a 76. We only have a 76 3-point rating because his versions obviously don't have that high of a 3. His highest 3-point rating is a 76, which is, his current version. Practically everything in shooting here is from his current version, where he's got a 93 mid-range. He's got a 76 3-pointer. He's able to at least shoot the 3-pointer. And also, we have an 80 free throw, but the free throw is just whatever at that point. I try to still at least get it close, but, it doesn't have to be exact, obviously, because free throw, you'll have to add some on at the end if, sometimes, whatever. But we have an 80 free throw, which I feel like is really, really good, just in general. But for the most part, the most important part of the shooting is just the mid-range and 3-pointer, which I feel very confident about having as his current iteration. Now, when it comes to the playmaking end, I know there's a lot of controversy when it comes to some builds having less playmaking or more playmaking than what they actually deserve, or how I feel like they actually deserve from their play. But DeMar DeRozan, I feel like it's just kind of all over the place, because it's just one of those things where it's can he pass? He doesn't really pass a whole lot. He's not known as a passer. He's somebody that can be a secondary ball handler, but at the same time, he's somebody that's a little reserved on his ball handling ability. So it wasn't until obviously his 2024 version, where his current version has a higher ball handle rating, but a lower speed with ball. Obviously, he's a bit older, but then also at the same time has a lower pass accuracy than his 2016 version. You see, his 2016 version is practically the best when it comes to the all-around playmaking ability, which is why we have kind of a mixture of the two, of the current and the 2016 version, because obviously the 2010 rookie version, obviously doesn't have the pass accuracy or the ball handling that his current version has, but obviously still has a similar realm in terms of the speed with ball. But obviously we have the 78 pass accuracy and 81 ball handling, which does equate to what he has in his 2016 roster version. But the speed of ball is an 80, because I feel like just an 80 just makes sense in terms of the animations as well. But also that's just what his current version has. So having that little mismatch there as well, to where it's we have stats for both versions of him. to where it's like we are kind of mixing and matching the 2016 version of him, where he was like kind of pretty much in his prime in Toronto, a couple years before obviously his trade to San Antonio. But then we also have, you know, his current version as well, where he's now on the Kings. When it comes to defense, though, obviously he doesn't have like a lot of defense, but we kind of just, like I said, mixed and matched all the stats around. He's got a 50 interior defense here. That's what he has in the current version. 75 perimeter defense, which is more kind of like his 2016 version, whereas 2016 version has a 78 perimeter defense. He's got a 60 steal rating, which is, you know, pretty similar to what he has on the 2016 version as well, with his 61 rating. We have a 40 block, which is kind of like in the middle of all of it, where his 2016 version only has a 35, his rookie version only has a 45, and then his current version has a 55. So we kind of like went in the middle in between the 2016 and rookie versions, just because that's what makes sense. And then we have a 46 like offensive rebound. That's just what we put our extra points into. That's like the highest stat that he has. Like on here is a 40. And then same with the defensive rebound, his highest stat is a 60, which is, you know, representing the 2016 version. So that's just what we have right now for these. Just makes sense, just because some of them are leftover attributes from everything else. That's just what we decided to stick with. And then obviously we have the speed being an 85. We have an agility of an 80. Now, his 2016 version has a really low agility rating, if I'm not mistaken. So we just decided to keep it pretty similar to what his like kind of like a mixture in between the rookie and the current versions, where we have an 85, or I guess like even a 2016 version as well, where the 85 is, you know, closer and is exactly what the 2016 version is, but his 2010 version has the 86 rating. We went with an 80 agility here because obviously that's just kind of what he has on the that's just what he has pretty much on the 2010 version as well, where he has an 81, current version has an 82. So I just figured we might as well just go closer to that as well. Just kind of makes more sense to me. But with the strength, he has a 56 strength here because that's just what the game gave us. He's got a higher strength on its current version where he's got a 73 strength, but his other two versions, 2016 and 2010, don't really have any strength, which obviously doesn't make like a lot of sense here. So it's like one thing you could easily do is just drop down the offensive rebound by like 1 point. You can even drop the block rating down if you so choose, just to try and get that strength up, but it's not going to really matter that much as you can like easily see. But the main thing here that, you know, comes down to it, where it's just like you don't have like a lot of options. You don't really have like a lot of options for stuff here. And the reason for that is just because it takes up a lot. So you would have to sacrifice some other things. So I just decided we're not going to really have strength, unfortunately. But what we will have is just the ability to just dunk over people anyway, even with our driving dunk, because we have that silver posterizer Hall of Fame aerial wizard. So that's not going to be a problem. And it's not like we are the best dribbler or anything like that, really. So it's like we might get caught up on some people, but the whole point of this build is just to be able to create for ourselves in the mid-range, not necessarily be 100% just focused strictly on driving. If we can't get the drive, if we can't get the lane to the basket, then we can create for ourselves in the mid-range and be shifty. The whole idea is to be shifty. And also we have an 80 vertical as well. Like I mentioned earlier, in the 80 vertical, we have Aerial Wizard on Hall of Fame. We have Posterizer on Silver. Pretty good stuff there. But the whole idea behind this build is to be shifty, especially in the mid-range, and trying to get our way to the rim. So whether that's using post control, whether that's utilizing, you know, our ball handling ability, breaking people down, and then going for like a midi, whatever the case may be, we're trying to be shifty from the mid-range. But that doesn't mean we can't shoot threes. That doesn't mean that we can't, you know, drive. And that doesn't mean that, you know, we can't pass the ball. We can pass the ball a little bit. So all of this being said, though, we do have DeMar DeRozan, we got Latrell, and then we got Jaylen Brown. So obviously this build is pretty dang solid. It is called an inside the arc shot creator, which makes a lot of sense to me. You know, I like the idea of the name being an inside the arc shot creator because it makes sense. It makes sense. You're able to create your own shots in a mid-range, being shifty and all that. So it definitely does make a lot of sense. But I know that this is like a longer video than the typical ones, obviously, because I went more in depth on these, kind of like the last one that I made with the Chet Holmgren. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below for this video. I know that I got like some other videos from other people from request, so I'm going to get to those. But let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section below, and I will see you all in the next one. Later, everybody.